Welcome back to the Burn, everybody. We have a very special episode for everyone today. This is the Burn, and you know how it is. I am Ryan Van Dever, and we are presented to you by Hot Zone Sports. The information that you need to know, built with you in mind, for the people, by the people, and with the people. And today's special guest today is Bob Lutz. He was a journalist and an amazing sports columnist for the Wichita Eagle for 43 years. And for 24 years, he was a sports radio extraordinaire with his son, Jeff Lutz. So let's go ahead and bring him on here. Welcome to the show, Bob Lutz. How are you doing on this crazy Masters evening?
Yeah, we had to work almost as hard as Rory McIlroy did to get this one on the air, but you persevered and we overcame some scheduling issues and some challenges, and here we are. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Oh, yeah. So, for those that weren't watching the Masters, I actually went down into the studio. Rory McIlroy, he had a one-shot lead, and I didn't see his putt on the 17th, so I'm not sure what happened there because I was walking down the stairs. But all I know is there ended up being a playoff, and I feel good for Rory McIlroy, but man, I feel bad for Justin Rose too, because being a runner-up in his last two majors, the last one being the U.S. Open, that's got to be gut-wrenching, man.
Yeah, I was really pulling for Rory. I like him. It's great to get the Grand Slam of all the majors, only the sixth golfer to do it. So it was exhausting for me. I can't imagine what it was like for him. So good deal.
Yeah, it's just that third round. That third round is what got Justin Rose.
Yeah.
He shot a 75 yesterday, and if he would have even shot a 72, he might have had that green jacket in the bag, but that's for a different day.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead. You are the creator of League 42 here in Wichita, Kansas, and it's basically just an organization. So baseball in general, I mean sports in general, you could go to, football, little league football, little league baseball. It's all the equipment is expensive. I know, a bat is like $400 now, brand new. But what you do for League 42 is you get a lot of stuff donated, and the price is a lot lower. I was a coach for the Southwest Boys Club for a while there, and just when you look at the prices of just trying to get into the league and get on the team, it gets pretty outrageous, and that's not even the most expensive league in town. So what you guys are doing is just having a low prices, and not to mention, there was actually a point where my team was struggling just to get players, and you obviously don't have that issue, but what gave you the inspiration to start League 42? I mean, I know that your son Jeff played some ball when he was younger, but overall, what inspired you the most to
Well,
start League 42?
I've loved baseball from the time I was a young child and played it growing up until my senior year of high school, and played the summer after my senior year. And always loved pitching, and baseball is a big deal to me. And it's bothered me for many, many years that we weren't giving all kids an opportunity to play. We were giving some kids an opportunity to play.
Right.
And baseball is a universal sport, in my opinion. And it's just ludicrous to price it out of the market for so many families. And so we decided finally in 2013, after this thought had come into my mind many years before that, but I decided to go down this road and see if I could get anybody to support it, support the idea, And fortunately, we were able to get a good number of people to support the idea and to get on board and to lend their expertise in whatever way they could do so. And we built a nonprofit that started in July of 2013, and by April of 2014, we were able to field a league and get 16 teams on the baseball fields at McAdams Park, 200 kids, a little more, through hard work, perseverance, determination. We wanted to make this work. I didn't want to go down this road and have it lead to a dead end. So
Right.
we were going to do whatever it took. I told my wife that I was going to give this 10 really hard years. I was going to work as hard as I possibly could individually to try to make this work out. And fortunately, we were able to, like I said, get a lot of people jumping on this bus. And here we are in 2025 with 620 players, 46 teams, tremendous facilities at McAdams Park, new education programs. Um, Everything's kind of come to fruition, and we're certainly not at a point where we're resting on any laurels. We're still working really hard on this to try to make sure that League 42. I still think it's a flash in the pan. If it were to go away tomorrow, people would look at it and go, "Well, that was great for 12 years. Fantastic. I'm glad they did it, but it only lasted 12 years." We want it to last many decades. So we're still working on making sure that after I'm gone, and I'm not going to be around forever, I'm not a young person. So we want to make sure that after I'm gone, there's somebody to take the lead on this and build it in the way they see fit. You know, following some of the same principles that we've set forth, but certainly a new vision and a new leadership. But League 42 is in a good spot right now.
Yeah, it's definitely in a good spot, and it's amazing what you have done with it in just a few years. I mean, you go from what struggling to get 200 players for your league, and now this season you got 620. And from what I heard, you actually had to turn players array. Is that
We
right?
have to do that every year, unfortunately.
Really?
We build a waiting list. Another unfortunate aspect of League 42 is that some players fall off. And for whatever reason, maybe they move out of town. We do our registration in the fall, so it's a little ways from the fall to get to the spring when we start our season. So some families move, some families have other situations come up. So we always have to replace a lot of players. And when I say a lot, I'm talking 40 to 50 probably. But
Right.
we build a waiting list, and we still have a pretty lengthy waiting list. So that serves us very well too. And you mentioned, Ryan, the costs of playing baseball. So many families are paying uh, hundreds of dollars to join an organization, and then upon that, hundreds of dollars more for travel, and then hundreds of dollars more for equipment. We
Hmm.
charge $30 to play in League 42 per child or family of siblings, and we provide the uniform, and we provide most of the equipment. We've gotten to the point now where a lot of our kids like to buy their own bats, not the $400 ones, but serviceable, good bats. We also have Shields as our primary equipment donor, and many individuals reach out to us to give us equipment. Rawlings is a tremendous sponsor for bats. They give us about 40 bats a year, and we've just built up our brand enough to where people know about us and are willing to support us because they see the good we do not only on the baseball field but away from it with some of the educational programs we offer.
So you created League 42 for underprivileged children. So was this something that inspired you because of your son? And was cost a big reason why you started this league?
Uh, I started League 42 just because I love baseball and I love kids, and you throw that combination together, and it makes perfect sense. I coached my son when he was growing up several years. I coached competitive baseball at West Urban and travel baseball, and we went all over the United States playing, and it was costly.
Yeah.
Not every kid can afford that. And these kids, I don't. I'm not correcting you, but I don't. I don't refer to these kids as underprivileged. I
Okay.
refer to them as underserved.
Right.
And we're trying to make up that gap. We're trying to serve a group of families and kids by offering them baseball, after school enrichment in reading and math, speakers who are potentially very enlightening to these kids. We try to give them a lot of bang for the buck. You know, if you can pay $30 to join this organization and uh, get all that we have to offer, I think you're getting a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I know that when I played little league baseball, I would sit at home waiting for that phone call to see which team I was drafted to, and it's just like when I played, the coach calls you. That's a big deal and says, "Hey, you're going to be on our team. We're excited to have you." Um, and this is going to be when the first practice is. Um, so how does that work with this league? Do they do
Very much the
something like
same
that?
way. You know,
Same
we
way.
build our teams from year to year. We do try to keep some kids together from year to year, kids who have played together and are the same age. And we don't want to completely blow everything up and start from scratch. So at the end of the year, we keep a very strong database of our rosters, and we use those the following year. They help us construct our teams, uh, and we have parents fill out a registration form on which they can make a request to play with a certain friend, and we try to honor as many of those requests as possible
Yeah.
so that our players are content and happy with the team they're on. But with a new player coming into League 42, often they get assigned to a team, and they get that phone call that you're talking about. Well, even way back when I played, that's what happened. We went somewhere in Derby. I don't remember when. My parents took care of that, I'm sure, but signed up to play. And I remember, I think it was on a Saturday morning that hundreds of kids in Derby got a phone call about here's where you're going to play. They called it midget league at the time. They probably couldn't get away with that now, but
No.
that's what it was called back in the early 60s. So that's yeah, I was the first team I played on was called the Red Dots, and I'll never forget the coach of that team. His name was Mueller, Mueller. So those are memories that last a lifetime for kids.
That's a heck of a memory you got there. Yeah, my team was the Blue Jays, and we had our we'd have like a bank sponsor on our back, and we'd take pictures for them and stuff. But that those were the times that I remembered. But what I don't like about a lot of these leagues and the higher competitive leagues is you're recruited to play for them. And I don't know, that just kind of takes the fun out of, gaining new friends and forming those relationships with new coaches, and so
I've
uh
been in both worlds,
yeah.
and I was that coach who was out recruiting from the time my son was 14 to the time he was 18. And we were trying to build the best team we could
Yeah.
because that's what we did. We had good players, and parents expected it. And that's a world that's, listen, I have no problem with it. It exists, it's real. But there also needs to be a world for the kids that we serve in League 42 where they can get the baseball experience and they don't have to worry about paying hundreds of dollars to get it.
Yeah, I just think that what you're doing for League 42 is absolutely amazing, allowing underserved, I will correct myself,
I
underserved kids.
appreciate that.
Yeah, the opportunity to learn baseball mechanics, and I mean playing the game myself, I learned a lot of things that I was actually able to take into the future with me. But baseball itself is pretty expensive, as we talked about. So you do get your equipment, a lot of your equipment donated from Shields. Do you get a lot
Yes,
of
we
donations?
we
Do
do
you
get a
raise
lot of
money?
donations of equipment, and we depend on that. And we're not shy about asking people for money or equipment. That's one thing I learned, that I was a novice. I had never asked anybody for money when we started League 42, and now it's second nature. I believe in what we're doing. I think we have a strong message. I think we have a track record. And so when you have all of those things, sorry, my camera moved around on us. When you have all of those things, you feel confident that you can go to potential donors and say, can you help us here? We've raised millions of dollars to help League 42 build a new building, learning center on 17th Street. We built a new turf field. We're currently renovating an umpire's room. We've added new lights on two of our fields. We try to keep up to date. Our facilities are very good. They weren't when we started. We were playing on decades old fields, just two of them that had been used mostly in recent years for softball, with rusted out chain link, no dugouts.
Mm.
But McAdams Park is where we wanted to be, and we were determined to be there. And fortunately, the city saw the light and wanted to partner with us and really helped us. And we've had a good relationship with them, and we love being in the center of town in a park where there's so much athletic history, and so many of Wichita's best athletes have come through McAdams.
Yeah, it's just a great thing to see, but as we move on here, we got to talk about the statue. Um, so after the statue was stolen, the MLB reached out to you and helped out a little bit. Have they reached out to you and wanted to assist League 42 in any capacity?
Yeah, they helped out a lot. We were able to develop a relationship with Major League Baseball that we'd been unsuccessful in developing prior to the theft of the Jackie Robinson statue in January of last year. They saw fit to send $100,000 that was used to pay for a new statue that looks just like the old one. Fortunately, the mold still existed. It was
Mm.
thankfully, because that statue means a lot. It was crafted by my very good friend John Parsons, who unfortunately died almost 3 years ago. But we have that statue back now. Major League Baseball also stepped up and provided funding for the new lights that we put up this off season on our two biggest fields. So
Mm.
yeah, we have a great relationship with Major League Baseball. Our association with Jackie Robinson was a stroke of brilliance, and one that I cannot take credit for, because that name did not come from me. I was struggling to come up with a name, and one day at a meeting, we were out at Side Pockets, I believe, and I said, I've been racking my brain. I have some ideas, but I don't really have a good name for this league. I don't know what to call it. The ideas I have just don't hit me well. And somebody said, well, we should name it for Jackie Robinson. And almost immediately, a gentleman piped in, name it League 42. And it was like, if he had a microphone, he should have dropped it, because that was perfect name for our league. We're honored to be associated in a small way with the great Jackie Robinson, who broke Major League Baseball's color barrier in 1947. We don't take it lightly. We understand the responsibility that goes with naming a league for that man. So we really stress sportsmanship and not getting carried away, and having fun on the baseball field, not letting our emotions get in the way of what we're supposed to be doing. There's no yelling at umpires or coaches. At least we stress that they're not being. If there is, we try to address it. We don't want that kind of stuff in this league. So much of youth sports has been tainted by poor behavior, and that's not going to be the case with League 42.
Yeah, I mean, that's just when it comes to there's a lot of parents out there. I won't stereotype all parents, but you can still see uh, some of these videos out there where they're just yelling at the umpires, and a lot of these umpires are volunteers, and they just I've seen a couple of umpires just walk off the field. So all right, I'm done. I'm not taking it anymore. It's just it's great to see that your league cracks down on stuff like that. But in terms of the statue, it really would have been easy to wave the white flag and say, "I can't do this." I mean, you
Well, I
talked about your
waved it for
friend.
about 10 seconds. That's how I felt. I felt
Yeah,
like, my goodness, this is a blow that I'm not sure I can recover from. Some of that was because of the symbolic nature of the statue.
right.
Some of it was because my dear friend, who I grew up with, made the statue,
Yeah,
and I just I lost faith in people for a short amount of time. But it came back, and we became more and more determined to get a new statue back there and not let that act defeat us, because obviously Jackie Robinson overcame so many things
right.
to become not only the athlete but the human being he became. He would not have wanted us to fold it and say that's too hard, and so we found a way forward, and we're thankful we did. The outpouring of support was absolutely incredible from all over the country. Certainly, it came strong from Wichita, but it came from all over, and we were just blown away by how people reacted to that. It speaks to the ongoing uh, effect that Jackie Robinson has in American culture, and not just in the sports culture, but you think of the civil rights, think of
Right.
the business acumen. He only lived 51 years,
Yeah.
but what a 51 years, right? He packed a lot into a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's just Jackie Robinson. He embodied many things. Grace, kindness, and really, I mean, I'm not trying to butter you up or anything, but through the whole thing, that you kind of embodied Jackie Robinson. It was amazing to see. You didn't hate Alderete, but you hated the act, like you said. We should all be like you, because the guy instinct, I mean, the man instinct in me would be just to hate the person. I mean, your friend made the statue. I know if one of my friends made a statue and they ended up dying, and man, there's just so many problems that I would feel.
Yeah, and part of my reaction, and I appreciate what you say, but you say I didn't hate the man, and I didn't, but I also came to know that the reason that he did what he did was a drug addiction. Had it been a hate crime, had it been somebody who said, we're not going to honor a black person in this neighborhood, I'm
Right.
going to make sure that that's not going to happen, that statue's going down, we'll never acknowledge a black person.
Yeah.
Well, then my reaction would have been a whole lot different.
Right.
But my reaction was built from, okay, Ricky Alderete has a lifelong uh, has a lifelong addiction to drugs.
Yeah.
And I feel some empathy for him. Not total empathy. I still, hold him responsible for what he did. But I don't feel hatred for Ricky Alderete. I feel like I hope he somehow finds the help he needs
Right.
and the peace he says he wants. He has a family, has a nice wife who I met. He has children. Uh, he just has an addiction. And since that happened, I've become much more interested in drugs and their effect. And I've learned a lot, and there's a whole lot more I have to learn. But I know how drug addiction can affect society. And if we could get rid of addiction and get rid of drugs, illicit, illegal drugs, we'd have so much, the country and the world would be so much better.
I would have to agree. You know, just addiction in general, whether it be drugs, alcohol, you know, anything. It's just it just takes a hold of you, and as we saw, you know, there are no bounds. But part of the documentary, and if you have not watched it, um, you need to go ahead and find it. I believe it's on Kansas.com and KansasCity.com, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
But
more like Jackie.
yeah, more like Jackie.
And
It is a great documentary.
it was produced by Travis Hying and Jamie Green, a couple people I worked with at the Wichita Eagle. At some point in the pretty near future, I believe, it will be available on YouTube. So we all have that to look forward to. But it was extremely well done. Um, there's several stories in the documentary that are fascinating and interesting. And one of them involves one of our players, a young boy named Marcus. And
Oh yeah.
it's really touching and heartwarming.
That was going to be my next question. You led right into it. Part of that documentary, you know, where this kid Marcus he walks up to you and gives you $2. That was touching. All about the feels, whatever you want to say. I can only imagine how you felt in that moment, man.
Yeah, that was just 2 days after the theft, and we had a gathering at the site of the statue, and it was frigid. It was a very cold Saturday morning, and we had about 100 people there who braved the elements. And Marcus and his family were there, and he had a $2 allowance. I think he had $2 in his piggy bank, and he told his mom that he wanted to give that $2 to League 42. And when I got up and started talking about the theft and how we were going to recover, and he just walked up to me and said, "Mr. Bob, I want you to have this $2." And it was quite a moment. It was that kid is amazing, and the great thing is we have so many other kids just like him in League 42, and he's a great person to be out front.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, I, I'm gonna take my son. He does the podcast with me sometimes. He just loves sports, and I will actually catch my son. We were out to dinner last night, and he was on his phone, and my wife thought he was texting his girlfriend at the time, and he was just looking at sports scores. Just kept them open. It was crazy, but yeah, he would love to ask you some questions, but we do. Here we go. SGA for MVP says Bob Lutz. I think you're a huge fan of your work. Yeah, I think a lot of people here around here was a massive fan of your work. I know when I was growing up, I I would read your columns whenever I could. When it was actually paper, I lived back then, and then you know you started that radio show with your son, and actually that's actually one of my goals is to have a sports radio show with my son, and you got to do it. So I am super jealous.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We stopped doing that earlier a couple months ago,
Yeah,
and just to free up some time, he's got a busy schedule, and I've got a busy schedule, and they changed some times on us, and moved Jim Rome to our time slot,
yeah,
so it kind of became inconvenient. I wondered if I would miss radio, and I won't say I don't miss it at all, but I don't miss it very much. I'll say that, and maybe there will come a time when I do. But League 42 requires a lot of my time and a lot of my energy, and it's been kind of nice to get to the middle of the afternoon and have don't not have a radio show to worry about.
Yeah, I can only understand. Yeah, I wouldn't even be able to understand the type of preparation that comes into it. I know when I prepare for my show, it's like a couple of days in advance and whatnot. But yeah, you were doing it every single day, so huge admirer of your work. But let's go back to the League 42. I really do. I really enjoy the fact that your league has grown organically. Like it took some time to get where it was, where it is right now. And I know these kids are learning baseball, but I also am happy that these kids are learning about the history of baseball, learning about Jackie Robinson for one. What you guys are doing at League 42 is just an amazing thing. I wish there were more leagues like this in America, and I know there are, but a majority of them, that they're not like this, where you can learn the history of baseball and playing it at the same time. But with this league being named League 42, there is a responsibility to Jackie. And I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but you have to carry yourself in such a way that resembles and makes you worthy of that name. Can you talk
Yeah,
more about that?
when we go talk to donors, potential donors, and we stress what we talked about earlier with our sportsmanship and how much Jackie Robinson's legacy means, and how we named this league League 42, fully understanding that we had in doing so we had to really pay attention to his legacy. So yeah, we there's no wiggle room. We have to we have to be good sports, and we have to honor the name of Jackie Robinson and teach our kids about Jackie Robinson. And we're not ever, at least on my watch, we're not going to let that stray. We're not going to say, well, we had this incident on this field and it got a little ugly, but it won't happen again. So
Right.
we're good. We're going to address it. And that's not always easy to go to a parent or a fan or somebody in the midst of a game and say, hey, can you come over here? I want to talk to you about this. And we
Yeah.
need to very much watch out how we behave here. And it's not easy to do, but we're dedicated to doing it.
Yeah, it's just like you said, there's sometimes people get heated and it's best just to take them to the side. But you know if you could go out to a lot of these ballparks now, you will see some bad sportsmanship. I saw it when I was a coach at the YMCA, coaching my kids in basketball. When it comes to these parents and coaches and to players, you know, it will affect the game sometimes. But from what I've seen over the years, there's a lot being done right in League 42 when it comes to teaching these kids the right way to play. And I have a lot of respect for that. The team mentality is great to see.
What I would tell anyone is that, yeah, it can be difficult to assert control over poor sportsmanship. But if you do it and you do it effectively, your parents are going to really appreciate it because they don't have to come to a game worrying that something could get out of hand. They know
Right.
that if there's that if somebody crosses the line, that it will get dealt with, and it's not like we're out there with billy clubs and using force, but we're out there to calmly talk to people and remind them that we have to do this because this is League 42, and you never know when somebody's going to be here, a potential donor
Right.
or a current donor or somebody who's given us money or somebody who is interested in knowing more about League 42. And if they're out here and they see that kind of behavior, uh, we could lose that.
Yeah, and that is very important. Like we don't, you know,
We're a
spots.
nonprofit. That
Yes,
I don't think I've mentioned that, but
yeah. I
we're a
mean,
nonprofit, so we
getting,
depend on those things.
yeah, especially getting donations like that, in a league like this, that's how you survive. Um, but one thing I want to talk about is mental health. Um, Mental health is very important to me. Uh, I'm a former military, and so mental health is huge, and mental health in sports is very important, and especially in these younger kids. They can go from being on cloud nine 1 minute to being really sad and ultimately getting depressed or becoming anxious because they aren't producing or whatever it may be. Have you encountered a player that you saw was getting this way, and if so, what did you do to address these things in the child?
Well, we have a lot of coaches. I coached in League 42 the first 11 years. I'm not coaching this year, but I coached in League 42, and we have about 160 coaches, including head coaches and assistants, and they're all mentors as well. So when they see an issue like this, we want them to treat it with empathy, compassion, and talk to the child, maybe talk to the parent about what can be done. I don't know that I've had a lot of these instances in League 42 because we're only with these kids in a baseball atmosphere. So our coaches are with them at practices and games, and maybe if they have a picnic together, but they're not together with them on the day to day stuff. But parents understand that if they need assistance, if they need help, they can come to me or a coach or a board member with League 42, and we'll do what we can to lend support or try to give a parent ideas on where they can go to get that support. But I wouldn't say that mental health is obviously a huge thing in our society,
Yeah.
and it affects kids tremendously. But fortunately, we haven't had a lot of those incidents with League 42, at least that I'm aware of.
Yeah. We do have a comment here from Braves Lifer, and he says, I love every single one of your guests. Bob Lutz is a hero. What he has done is amazing for League
You
42.
just made that up, didn't you, Ryan?
I did not. It's I'm glad that everybody is having a great time and gets to see Bob Lutz for what he has done. It's great. It's just have you had any success stories for League 42, like where
I
your
view
players have
I
went
view
on?
any kid that gets into high school and graduates from high school as a success story. Um, you might say that's a low bar. I don't think it is. I think we want our kids to find a pathway to future success so that they can live an adult life that they enjoy. And we talk to our kids about that all the time. Um, in terms of baseball, this year we have 59 former League 42 players on high school baseball rosters in the area. Wichita North, which just won a tournament up in Topeka over this weekend, has 11 or 12 former League 42 players on their roster. And quite a few of those kids play big roles. And one of those is actually a senior, and he's going to go play collegiately at Tabor in the fall. So
Awesome.
that's a baseball success story.
Yeah.
We've had some others, and we're going to have more and more as our league goes along. I also think it's a success story when former League 42 players come back to our organization to
Oh yeah.
coach. And we've got around 10 of those. So that we'll see more and more of that as well the longer we go. The kids who started in League 42 as 13 or 14-year-olds back in 2014, now they're in their early to mid 20s. And that's almost hard to believe,
Yeah, that's
but
crazy.
that's the case. We've got a little track record, and it's good to see those players come back and help us. We keep an alumni email list, and we try to communicate with them as much as we can. But let's be real. When you're done playing baseball and you move on and you're in high school and you get married and life starts to get faster, you're
Yeah.
not necessarily thinking about League 42. We get that, but we still want to communicate with those people and try to get as many as we can to come back to us. And eventually we'll see. We already have one of our head coaches has a child, a 3 or 4 year old, who will that child will begin to play in League 42 here soon. So we'll start to see second generation League 42 players.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, does League 42 do anything like keeping track of stats like the Game Changer app or other apps that are out there, or is it like when I played? And I'm sure the apps weren't available when you played either, where it's more about fun. You see a lot of these leagues where the big thing is just keeping track of your stats.
I hit 743 as a little leaguer. I kept every stat. Just kidding, Ryan. We do not keep Game Changer. We haven't taken that step. It's not important to me. It may be important to a team. I don't tell teams that they can't keep stats.
Right.
They're perfectly welcome to keep stats, but we don't keep them as a league. The less we can do that's about the individual, and the more we can do about the team and the organization, the better. I believe that's a good way to go in life.
Yeah.
Make it about the larger picture. Make it about the group and not the individual.
Yeah, definitely. I I, I hit 842, so I don't know what you're talking about. I remember one kid when I was playing. It was he threw the fastest fastball I'd ever seen until I played up against Nate Cornejo, and man, yeah, it was just
Yeah,
wild.
Nate could throw it.
Yeah, yeah,
I actually covered his major league debut down in Arlington, Texas, when he pitched for the Detroit Tigers,
yeah.
and he got hit around a little bit, unfortunately, in that debut. But it was fun to go down and cover that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So speaking on the MLB, do you guys have any clinics from college to MLB clinics where they teach kids some things? Because I know when I was growing up, we were able to go to some clinics or even camps. I think I saw something about the Royals partnering with League 42. Can you talk
Yeah,
more
we
about
have a
that?
we have very cool opportunities when it comes to instruction. The Newman baseball team does a clinic for us every fall. So does the Tabor University team and Mark Standiford. In August of last year, and it's going to happen again, the Royals AA affiliate from Springdale, Arkansas, the Northwest Arkansas Naturals, did a clinic for us at McAdams, and the Wichita Wind Surge joined in on that. So we had 30 AA players teaching our kids. Billy Hall, who's a former Wichita State baseball standout from Northwest High School, he does clinics for us. Steve Lenhard, who I think is one of the best pitching instructors in the Midwest, does a pitching and throwing clinic for us. So yeah, we give our kids a lot of opportunities to learn from very skilled instructors. Mike Gear, who I believe is the best catching instructor in Wichita, and maybe in who knows. I mean, his Let's Block It or Just Block It camps are famous across the country, and he's on our board, and he does coaching clinics for us. So we have a lot of people who help us in that regard.
That's awesome. We have another one. This one is from ICT Sports. I love this. Thank you, Ryan, for bringing on Bob Lutz. He is a legend. Hey, you can't make this up. Everybody loves you, Bob.
ICT Sports, otherwise known as my wife Debbie. Way to go, Debbie.
Well, hi, Debbie. But I, I just really love what League 42 is not only doing for the community, but just as a whole. It has morphed into getting underserved kids to play the beautiful sport that we call baseball to something so much more than baseball. But something that people might not understand is you also do a lot of things with the Bright Lights program. I know you spoke on it a little bit earlier, but can you speak on that?
Yeah, we bring kids in. We have two 12-week semesters, and we bring kids in whose parents want them to improve in their literacy and their math skills. We have an education director by the name of Melanie Ewers, and we have 4 interns who are Rudd Scholars at Wichita State University.
Okay.
And they guide our program with help from others. And we have 31 kids involved in that after school program this semester. They come twice a week on either Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday. They're there for about an hour and 15 minutes. And we have various programs that we use to enrich them in their reading and math skills. So that's been a real important step for us. And we're thrilled to have that.
Yeah, it's just that's awesome that you're not even just teaching baseball, but you're able to help them out when they really need it. My son is a prime example. We won't talk about that because he's doing great and he's going to graduate this this year. So he's going to graduate.
There you go. Good job.
Yeah, I will tell him Bob Lutz says good job. I will let him know.
My son never did graduate. Just
Really?
kidding. That's
Yeah.
a joke. I hope he's not listening.
I hope he
He
is. He's
did
one of my
graduate,
friends
and
on
he even
Facebook.
graduated from college in his 13th year. So we were very proud of him.
I am going to clip this part and I'm going to tag Jeff in it because he is one of my Facebook friends. So,
Uh-oh.
yeah, this is going to
I
be
wish I'd
awesome.
known that.
I'm sure he'll get a kick out of it. So, how many games per season do your teams play? And
Well,
are there
total
any
numbers around
tournaments?
400. We have T-ballers who play 11. We have coach pitch kids who play 13. We have 9 and 10 and 11, 12-year-olds who play 17. And then our 13, 14-year-olds play 18 games. And then at the end of the year, we put together a select team in our 11 and 12 and 13, 14 age group. And we send them off to play in a tournament at Southwest Boys Club. So those are, we play a good number of games. I think it scratches the itch for most kids to get to play that number of games.
Oh, yeah.
We know there are teams out there, travel teams, that are playing 2 or 3 times that number of games, but I don't, I don't think that would be something that would appeal to most of our families. They like the nature of what League 42 offers.
Yeah. Um, so, do you play in any tournaments?
Yeah, we send a couple of our select teams to play in tournaments at the end of the year.
Okay.
And
So,
then
when do you.
and then some of our teams individually go play in tournaments during the fall.
Okay.
That we're not associated with that, but we certainly encourage it if they want to do that. So yeah, a lot of our kids get the opportunity to play a lot of baseball.
So when you play in these outside tournaments, talking about mentality
We
earlier,
haven't done a whole lot of that, so it's still a
yeah.
fairly new thing.
But when your kids do play outside of your league, are they intimidated when they play teams from the Southwest Boys Club
No,
or no?
our 12 under team actually won the tournament there
Wow.
last year, and our 14 under team competed very well. We've gotten to the point now where our teams are pretty competitive, and we can hold our own. That doesn't mean we're going to go and win a lot of these tournaments. And if we would try to enter one of the top flight tournaments, one of the Class A tournaments,
Right.
it probably wouldn't go as well. But we got kids now who can compete.
That's awesome. Have you ever wondered how many of these kids wouldn't be playing baseball without League 42?
Well, those are the kids we've tried to reach out to. So I have to believe a lot of them. Um, I have to believe that many of these families would not be able to afford to have their kids play elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't dwell on that. I'm just happy that we do have this opportunity, and I hope people in our community continue to support us and see the importance of what we do, not only with baseball but education and mentorship and everything else we offer. Like I said, we want to be around for a long, long time, long after I'm gone.
Yeah.
So it's important to be able to establish that, and I'll continue for as long as I'm able. I'll continue to work as hard as I can on making sure that League 42 is in a good place.
So League 42 is about what, 14 or 15 years old?
We started in 2013, so
Okay.
we'll be 12 years old in July.
So have you, playing off of what you just said, have you ever thought about who's going to take over the reins when you can't do it anymore? Because I'm sure it is a whole heck of a lot of work not just doing this during the off season, as well as, I'm sure it takes a lot of team members just to get everything rolling and continuing to improve League 42 year by year.
Yeah, it's hard to even write a job description for what I do, and that's not to say that no one could do it. That's not what
Right.
I'm saying at all. It's just that um, you just have to. It's on the job training, and there really are no days off. It's you got to be ready to take care of something on a whim and put out fires and uh, my office. I'm sitting in my office right now, which is in my basement, and I'm at a computer, and I got all this paper around me, our registration forms, and almost every day there's something I need to do here. Sometimes it can last 7, 8, 9 hours. Sometimes it'll last 30 minutes. But there's always something that's going to require attention. And I go to our office at the Rudd Center every day for at least 4 hours. It's an interesting job. I didn't prepare for it. I was a sports writer for a long time.
Yep.
And I think the fact that wasn't really a 9 to 5 job kind of helped prepare me for this one, because it's not a 9 to 5 job either.
Yeah.
It's just kind of when you need to do it. And
Hmm.
I think there will be somebody who's capable of taking this on, but it will need to be somebody who understands that. Okay, you got to be available at times when it may not be at the top of your list to be available, but you got to be able to take care of situations that arise, and there are a lot of jobs like that, really.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can handle that.
So where do you want League 42 to go from where it's at in its current state?
There'll come a time when I feel like I've taken it as far as I can. I don't feel like that time is too far into the future. Um, there's only, we've added these education programs. We have 4 fields now at McAdams Park. We'll probably never have more because there's just not room. We've hit our limit of 620 kids. There's really no more room for that. We've maxed out on coaches. We probably have the biggest staff we'll ever need. We have now an office manager, an education director. Um, I think we've reached our limit in a lot of ways. Now the key is to continue to do high quality work and continue to make a difference in the lives of kids and families, and if we can continue to do that, we'll be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So You were a writer for the Wichita Eagle for almost 43 years, and then you you took your talents to the radio broadcasting world, and you did that for 24 years. The question here is,
That
would you
would mean
can
67 years. Let's make sure people understand I did a lot of that at the same time.
yes, it was at the same time.
I'm not that old,
Yeah. Yeah.
although I am old.
No. So everybody knows a lot of that was done at the same time. Just just to clear everything up. Man, he's not a vampire, guys. Come on. But would you consider League 42 your greatest accomplishment? And to take it a bit further, I know you're a humble guy, but would you consider it your legacy?
Well, my answer to both of those questions would be those. That's for other people to determine. It's not for me to determine. I'm proud of my body of work. I've worked hard in my life. In some ways, the riches may not have come to me, but satisfaction with my career has certainly been at a high level. I set out to be involved in sports in some capacity or another, and so many people do. So many people, so many kids want to find a way to be involved in sports, right?
Yep.
And I was one of the lucky ones who actually got to do that through journalism
Yeah.
and writing and broadcasting and now League 42. I mean, at its core, it's the baseball league, and I'm still involved in sports, and I love that. So, in terms of how I view my career, I couldn't be happier. But I'll leave it to others to decide if I have a legacy, and if I do, what that legacy would be.
Yeah. I mean, you're a very humble man. You're about the kids. You're
Some
about the
people don't think I'm
families.
humble, but I am pretty humble. I get pretty antsy about being asked about my legacy and things like that. It
Yeah.
makes me uncomfortable, but that's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable. I do appreciate people's kind words. I appreciate compliments, and I appreciate when people tell me they're appreciative. Uh, I don't take that for granted, but I also am not sitting in my chair every night going, I wonder what my legacy is going to be. I'm not going to have any control of that because I'm going to be gone.
Right.
And so it's out of my control, and I'm just trying to do the best I can.
Yeah. I mean, it's reassuring to me to see someone of your stature to be running something such as this, like for League 42, and to be, so humble about it. I'm going to use that word, and you can't stop me, Bob.
No, I
Okay.
can't. I'm not near you. I might slap you if I was, but I'm not. So
Probably would, yeah. But I absolutely love to see it. But I just wanted to thank you, Bob, for your time. This conversation has been immaculate. I grew up reading your columns and then listening to your radio shows with Bruce Hurdle, and then your son.
how old are you, Ryan?
I am 43.
Okay. So you're roughly my son's age.
Yeah, I am. I might try to get him to come on here, but I know he started this new job for the MLB, and that's awesome. But going back to you, the pleasure has been all mine, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for all of the League 42 parents and say that what you are doing and what you have done with League 42 is just special. I could even go as far as it's remarkable to go from 200 kids to now over 600 kids, and to even have to turn some away. It's extraordinary what you have done
Yeah, I
here.
hate turning them away, but there's
Yeah,
no choice. And
that's
uh,
got to be rough. But
we love every kid who's playing with us or has played, and we hope we've had a positive impact. And that's really what we strive for. And being able to get our message out through uh, people like you is appreciated. And thanks for having me.
yeah, Now, for those of you who prefer the podcast version, it will be dropped on Monday morning, and the link will be posted on all Hot Zone Sports social media. And Bob, if you want to share it with your friends, it'll be there for you as well. But stay tuned to the live stream as we have Dave Bush, the tournament director from the Summer Ball Showdown, the nation's largest summer collegiate tournament, coming on with us tomorrow at 7 p.m. And Friday, we have Coach Rashad Daniels coming on from Next Level Performance, who is a certified speed and conditioning coach. Stay tuned because we have a lot going on in this jam-packed week. But on that note, we are going to get out of here. Everybody have an amazing Monday, and we will see you on Monday night.